What's your sugar mama story? My dad. He broke up with my mom and now lives with an 80 years old. He's 50. She's rich and he's basically homeless. But he's handsome and looks good with her. She supplied his coke addiction for years. And then she also supplied him money to chase me and my mom through the courts over custody. TLDR. 80 and 50 years old. Cougar fuels coke addiction of my dad. Went out drinking with my cousin on a Thursday night and we ended up meeting a MILF at the bar he'd hooked up with before. It's closing time and he invites me over to her place to keep the party going. I was supposed to stay at his place. So I didn't really have anywhere else to go. At the end of the night, she made me a bed in her guest room. I woke up the next morning with a terrible hangover and people are rushing around and I'm like, WTF is all this noise? I emerge from the bedroom and sitting at the kitchen table is my cousin. The MILF and her 2 high school aged kids. Mind you, I'm 22 at the time and my cousin is 23. MILF packed us lunches while she made her kids lunches and sent us off with brown paper bags and Gatorades. The kids were less shocked than I was. I think they were used to it. She was divorced and lived in a massive house. Ex constantly bought me food and would give me money if I wanted beer or weed up. But would then leave the beer and weed unknowing I would drink or smoke it all. She only ever came to my apartment for 6 and would then leave when I couldn't get it up again. Her mom would drop off 3-4 bags of groceries every week. She bought me my second car ever and paid for my college classes and helped me get my life on track really. It ended pretty quick when I told her I thought I was in love with her. I was really drunk at a party. I was about to leave and I was pretty hungry. This girl I was talking to on Tinder lived like 2 streets over. I can't believe she actually did it. She left Pop-Tarts out on the front porch for me. I did once visit a guy who had a sugar mama. A friend of the girl I was dating at the time. He was this average looking 20-year-old stoner kid who was living in a nice house in the city. His sugar mama was paying for him to go to community college. That's nice. I'd love to hear he made something of himself and snagged a job with his degree. Would make for a great story. Not exactly a sugar mama. But I have a second Tinder account with my age set to 40. In the bio I just straight up say I'm actually 23 and looking to have sex with older women. It has worked a surprising number of times with some very attractive MILFs and cougars. A female friend of mine asked me if I'd be interested in becoming FWB, so we came to a mutual agreement and hung out a few times a week at my place. After the first week, she started bringing me food. The second week, she cleaned my kitchen. And by the third week, we were no longer just friends with benefits. Met a 30-year-old widow on Xbox when I was 19. She said she played Xbox to pass the day because she was financially set for life when her husband passed and wanted to make some Xbox friends. We start playing more and more until I couldn't keep up because my controller and headset broke. She asked for my address and after a week, I got a brand new controller and headset. I couldn't thank her enough and asked what I could do in return. To which she replied to just keep playing with her. Over the next few years, she occasionally buys me new games when they came out and even a few collector's editions if I wanted them. Eventually, we drifted apart because I couldn't find time play with my school and work schedule. I still miss her and occasionally try and find her online again but can't remember her gamer tag or Facebook. She will always be one of my best gaming buddies I've ever had. So this happened when I was 18. I met a woman at a club. She was a 43-year-old MILF but very in shape. She owned a couple of local restaurants. Would always make me come over and cook dinner. Sometimes even give me the keys to her older BMW to get around in. She took me to Vegas a couple times. Sex was good. It was nice for a while but she was very controlling. I had to be at her place within a certain time after I got off work, which was basically the commute time plus 5 minutes. I certainly wasn't allowed to date anyone else. I got tired of it and quit. A rebound girl I was seeing at the time offered to buy me a plane ticket to visit her in Hawaii on her vacation. I had an American girl buy me a plane ticket to Japan where she was living at the time. She was also on the rebound. I was seeing her for about 2 months. She was 10 years my senior. We worked together and there was always those certain lucks throughout the year. She was going through a divorce with well-to-do architect and were previously bonded over depressive situations we were going through. It wasn't until I handed my resignation in and told the staff I was moving states did it kick off. She said we should go get a drink one night. Nothing happened. Then she invited me round to her place. 3 awesome kids. Anything I wanted booze-wise. Food. Great cook. Meals and drinks out too. Very in shape and we absolutely bonded very well in the bedroom too. It was almost perfect. Except for me having sneak out at the crack of dawn before the kids woke up. This continued for about 7 weeks. I had my car packed and ready to go and we spent one last night together before I moved. We said our goodbyes and I drove off. Last I've heard from her as per the arrangement her request. It could have worked out I felt. Miss Yap. NX. My mom, who works as a massage therapist, told me her boss, 42, at her spa thought I, 19, at the time, was hot when my mom showed her pictures of me. Ended up getting an ad on Facebook from her. And she told me to come down to the downtown spa where she worked at during her lunch break. Got an hour massage. Crazy 6 on the table. $50 and a Chipotle burrito. I used to tutor this dumb as a rock high school girl in math and I always tried to quit because it was so frustrating and not worth the money. Her mom used to convince me to stay via a handy. In my early 20s I met an older woman around mid 40s in a bar. She was drinking alone and I stood by her to order a drink. She leaned over and gave me all kinds of compliments about my body. I said thanks and that she looked great too. She gave me her business card, realtor, and told me to text her around 2 AM. I did. She rolled up to my place in a super nice Benz. Woke up and she was gone. Next weekend she texted me an address and to be there at 8 PM and to clear my entire weekend for her. I did. She had a really nice 8-bedroom house. She was wild. Taught me a thing or two and let me explore all kinds of shit I didn't even know I was interested in. The next weekend. Same thing. I showed up and she had so much stuff for me. Really nice high-end clothes and shoes. She also bought all kinds of kinky toys for me to use on her too. She made me into a half-ass dom and I would tide her up and do just about anything I wanted to. We had a good time. Then she fell off the face of the earth. I don't regret it one bit. She was really nice and spoiled the shit out of me. She made me food and would bring it to me while I was in bed. Massaged my body damn near every day. She would sleep in a different room and between the sexual times we would have long lengthy conversations about anything and everything. Dr. MILF. Next morning she made me breakfast and cut my hair. How was the cut? She used a straight razor. Which was odd. Fresh. When I was 19 in college, a trans woman offered to pay all of my bills for the month if I let her suck my big dick. I wish I was into it because that's a pretty sweet deal. I can't afford to be straight when my bank account says $7.29. You looking to double that number? Former teacher 10 years later. I'm the sugar mama. For his birthday I took him to a music festival with his favorite lineup. Stayed a week at the Venetian in Vegas and got him an hour in a Lamborghini Huracan on a racetrack. It was fun. Once during supper, I asked my mother to pass me the salt and she passed me the sugar by accident. I bought my husband's beer last night. A while back I posted in a couple subreddits here for meetups. And a woman actually messaged me. We connected pretty well. And found out a job took her around the US. She also was in a poly relationship. And just liked having guy friends everywhere. So I just became another one of her boyfriends. When we started talking it was about 2-3 weeks away from my birthday and I had told her it was coming up soon. She wanted to get me something for it. But I had felt uncomfortable telling her my address. Finally she convinced me. And about a week later, she sent me an incredible care package. It was 2 brand new games, a new hoodie, some comics, and a Funko Pop. It was a lot to spend on me even though we hadn't known each other that well. I went to a bar one time and this cougar kept ordering pitchers of beer for me. One thing led to another and I went home to her place. Woke up the following morning to find out she was an E7 and I was a RE4. Fast forward to later in the relationship, she told me that she wanted to get engaged before she left for her next duty station. I agreed, so we went to a jewelry store. She picked out a ring and asked me if I wanted an engagement present too. I picked out a fancy watch and she paid for everything. 2 days later she changed her mind about the engagement and decided she wanted to be single. At least I got to keep the watch. I was sitting at the Hilton Dubai Resort and this older lady who has clearly had plastic surgery was sitting in a chair, possibly in a thong. Soon her husband, a 20-something muscular Indian guy in Speedo, shows up with a drink and a horse, so she could go riding later. I don't have a specific story, but this was my father apparently when he was young. My grandmother told me how he would always go out with women twice his age. It was such a regular thing, I guess, that after dates she'd just go. So how old is she this time? Many years later and after my mother's passing. Ironically she was only 3 years older than him. He's still doing it. He's in his 50s and his lower limit is the 70s. And he ain't messin' with no broke to broke either. Met her when I was 22. She worked 2 shifts a week at work and suggested going to a movie. I was flattered and jumped at the chance. Afterwards we went to her apartment and had the most awesome 6 of my young life. Next day, more of the same. Within a week, she suggested I move some of my stuff in, no need to pay rent. Her mom and dad took care of that, and the car payments, and credit card bills. Eventually I found out her family owned thousands of acres of farmland, 3 radio stations, and a television station. After a few weeks, the 6 got less and less, and she began spending more time out with her girlfriends. Guys would come by too, guys wearing colors and riding Hollies. Slowly the truth started coming out, she was gay. The women were her rich girlfriends and drug clients. The bikers were her drug dealers. She needed a man to live with her to keep her rich, extremely conservative family from guessing that she liked women and cutting her off from her money. Feeling like I'd been lied to and gaslighted, I moved out after a month and ghosted her. Went on a date with a girl visiting from NY. Didn't see the point as I was looking for a relationship. Had a good time. Wasn't doing well at the time. So she flew me out to New York and paid for everything. So forth. She flew back a few times. Became clear she was emotionally unbalanced. Sweet girl and I wish her the best. Back in my broke college days, a girl that liked me was a manager at McDonald's. It started out with me getting a discount and eventually turned into her bringing me free food every night when she got off work. At the same time, my current wife was a cashier at Walmart. I would go through her line and she would only scan a few of my cheaper items. I would get $200 worth of stuff for like $40. The next year she paid for a trip to Vegas together. We've been together for 23 years now. He got expensive gifts all the time. Was always going to fancy restaurants. And she let him drive her luxury sedan around whenever he wanted. Plus he got to stay at her swanky apartment rent-free. Cons? I don't think there were any for him. He came and went as he pleased. She wasn't particularly controlling, if anything. She was very sweet. And she was very attractive. If I could get a deal like that, I'd be foolish not to jump on it. Edit, should add why they broke up. He crashed her Mercedes. She stopped letting him drive her car. And he cheated on her. It was a messy breakup and my friend is an asshole. I had a girl give me an iMac because she liked me and we played video games together. We had never really met up until that point. She was sad my laptop was dying, so she gave me her old iMac. Most expensive and nicest gift I was ever given. Felt like a sugar mama. I'm a 40-year woman and this is my dream. Especially after reading all these stories. If I had money, this is exactly what I need. I want a friendly, casual, sexual relationship. I guess there is hope lol. My friend earns really good money and works for a government organization in a poor country. So she barely needs to spend anything. She's 33 and just likes younger guys. Maybe around 21-25. She said it's because she enjoys the power aspect of it and she doesn't mind paying them or spoiling them because for her, it's a power play. Works for her.